Hello everyone, and welcome to another beer review. Now this is going to be the last beer review of 2022, and I'm not going to, well hopefully I'll finish it in a high, but I'm doing this just because it was something that I spotted at the last moment, and I haven't had this one, and it's a Sainsbury's kind of promoted beer. Obviously they don't make it and things like this, but it's actually made by Shepherd Neame in Kent in England. So it's a porter from Kent, but it's basically done through Sainsbury's, and it's kind of their tasty difference range. So we've got a London porter made by Shepherd Neame, which, let's be totally honest, they're not a bad brewery. They're not a bad brewery at all, Shepherd Neame, and I've tried a few of their products, and yeah, they've all been hits. So, let's see what this one is like. There's a little bit of spiel on the back. So, London Porter, a rich dark beer packed with intense flavours of chocolate and spicy licorice, which is a good thing to go with. This style of beer was very popular in London during the 18th century and can trace its roots back to 1720. It is brewed with charred malt and English hops to give a truly unique flavour. This is Shepherd Neame's delicious interpretation of this classic beer, served lightly chilled with this beer with a happily complement of richest of chocolate pudding. What the hell is this? Served lightly chilled, this beer will happily complement the richest of chocolate puddings. Here we go, pairing notes. Give that a. Is Sainsbury's trying to offload they've overstocked in their chocolate puddings or some shit like that? Jesus God. But anyway, yes, taste the difference range, and it's 5%, 500ml, and yeah, it's just a rich dark chocolate porter with a hint of licorice. So there we go. So yeah, hopefully this will be quite nice. I'll just quickly do this again for Instagram if I forgot. There we go. And yeah, let's crack it open and see if we can taste the difference. Now again, this was under £2 a bottle, which of course you can't really go wrong with from that point of view. And it's a shame that they don't basically commission more of these type of beers, the supermarkets, instead of some of this other crap they stock, you know, from the gaudy can brigade, you know. Now Shepherd Neame basically wants to make a beer that harks back to the kind of traditions of the past. You know, beers of the past. When beers were beers, when men actually drunk beer and they thought, oh, I like this flavour of beer, you know, that type of thing. Not later thinking, oh, wish this had a marshmallow in it. Said nobody ever. Anyway, well, anybody that actually likes the taste of beer. So let's smell. Oh. Getting little hints of dark roasted malt. Maybe a hint of chocolate, but it's quite kind of low on the aromatics. They're very subtle, to the point as I can't bloody find them. But yeah, quite subtle. But we'll hold that out there and see what people think. There we go. Not a bad looking beer. Nice tanned head. So let's see what it tastes like. Now we're talking here. There we go. There we go. And it's ticking the boxes. It's a dark ale. It's a dark brown ale. It's not a stout. It's a dark brown ale, like it should be. It's lighter than a stout, not as heavy as a stout, but it does have the flavours. It doesn't have the coffee flavours. It has the chocolate bitterness and the chocolate flavours. I'm trying to think where this licorice is. I haven't quite got it yet, but the thing is though, licorice also adds a bit of body to it as well, so it's like it should be, light on the stout, but still has some good strong flavours there. And you didn't have to add marshmallow or coconut or maple syrup or any other shit. It was amazing that, eh? Starts off with a nice, good malty, dark malty kind of molasses sweetness right at the front of the mouth. Moves on to kind of the mid-tongue, and I think I'm just getting a little bit of that licorice coming through now in the mid-tongue. But one of the things is you're getting the grain, you're getting the kind of malty flavours. There's a nice sweetness there. And then of course the chocolate is just slightly coming in near the end of the mid-tongue and moving on to the aftertaste, and it's giving you a kind of nice, light kind of chocolate bitterness in the aftertaste. And you've just got the little hints, because the malty sweetness is just now kind of little accents in the aftertaste. And yeah, you're just getting little accents of the licorice ever so slightly, which is again just giving you that kind of like what we call kind of stickiness in the back end. And yeah, and there you go. Quite simple, nicely balanced, you know. We want the sweetness there, we want the bitterness there, and we want the kind of flavour profiles to kind of swing from one side to the other, that nice balance you get. So as a case is, there's no stupid kind of off flavours, there's no kind of disconnected flavours. The flavour profile starts at one side in the sweetness scale, and then just nicely kind of transfers over and going through the kind of spectrum until it gets a more bitter kind of flavour profile in the aftertaste. And you can see the journey and you can follow it. And that's a good thing about a beer. That's how I class a good beer as a balance. There's lots of things that will highlight a good beer, but that having that kind of transition between the front of the mouth to the aftertaste, and you can see the journey, you can follow it, and you can see where it's going. Obviously, sometimes you can follow it and then it just gives you a curveball at the end. That's something different. Whereas this one is, you can see where it's going, and you hope it's going to go there, and it does. There we go. And it's just a nicely brewed kind of honest beer. I'll be totally honest. I'm not going to say that it's the best port in the world and everything else, but it's a nicely brewed porter, nicely balanced. Flavour profiles are fine. I'm not saying they're wonderfully great and really, really strong and everything else. No, I would say this is quite sessionable. And I would say that in its defence, I wouldn't want the flavour profiles to be really any stronger than what they are. I just think for the kind of mouthfeel and just the style of how it is, the intensity of the flavours is just enough to give you the enjoyment of the flavours, but not to be maybe kind of sickly if you were drinking a lot of it. And I think this is designed, yeah, to get kind of wired in and have a few. And there is an easy drinkingness to it. And this is where sometimes people forget that, yeah, you can get more complicated, richer, dark beers that are to be kind of enjoyed and savoured and everything else. But sometimes, especially in the winter, like from my point of view, sometimes you want some dark beers that are just sessionable, ones that you can just have a right good go on, that type of thing. And you've got ones like Rig Welter's a good one, Old Peculiar, all these type of things. Ones that are just, the flavours are good enough. The flavours are there and they're strong enough just to go with the style of beer, and yeah, you can really knock, 3 or 4 of them back and really enjoy them. You think, that type of thing. And this is kind of similar. I mean, it's a port, it's a different style of beer and things like that, but the flavours are quite nice, and they're just to the intensity of where I would want them, just so I can just, buy 3 or 4 bottles of this. Nicely brewed, get wired into them, yeah, that's fine. Nice mouthfeel. Again, the mouthfeel is set up to be more sessionable. And yeah, you just get wired in, and I think some people forget all that sometimes with dark beers. But sometimes you want them kind of sessionable and you can just get wired in, and sometimes you want the flavours, but you don't want them to be too complicated. You don't want them to go wild or crazy. You just want I want the flavours there, but I don't want them so much in my face, whereas the case is though that I'm struggling to drink a couple of them, whereas I want it a bit more sessionable. I want to be able to get a fire 3 or 4 down my neck and just enjoy it. And I don't want the beer to be the main kind of focal point in the night. I want the company and the conversation to be the focal point, and the beer just to kind of slip in behind that and just, you know, play its part. And yeah, and it just hits the nail on the head for money wise, flavour wise. 5%, 500ml. So what would I give this out of 10? Well, here's a question. I'm going to give this a 6 because it's just nice, kind of middle of the road. Price wise, mouthfeel, sessionability, flavours and everything else. Yeah, they're just nice and just hit the spot. I'm not saying that it's groundbreaking or it's a championship beer. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if I want a swally, as we say in Scotland, if I want a swally, I want a beer that I can have a swally with. And this is a beer that gives me a swally, you know what I mean? And basically what that means is a wee sesh. I fancy just a wee sesh, you know. I've come home, I've had a crappy week, I just fancy a wee sesh, you know, 3 or 4 beers, just, you know, just to kind of forget, just to kind of kill the week off. That's it. Boom, we're at the weekend now. It's been a crap week. And I just want to chill and relax. And I don't want to think about things. I don't want things complicated. I just want to kind of zonk out, have a good few beers and just relax. And yeah, this one just kind of hits that mark. And it's a strange one because this is what you're supposed to get with heavies. This is what you used to get with heavies in the past. And unfortunately, with the heavies I've tried, you're just not getting it. Either it's watery pish, or it tries to be something or overly complicated, and you think, well, originally, if you look at it, most heavies were kind of more sessionable. Yes, you can get wee heavies and basically higher alcohol and more complex flavours and everything else. But coming from Scotland, a nice malt forward, sessionable dark beer was very normal, and it was a very go-to for a lot of Scots beer drinkers. And unfortunately that's kind of lost through neglect, losing breweries being bought over, and just, well, the good stuff's been dragged away and you're left with the mediocre shit, to be totally honest. And it's just something like this that wouldn't it be great if they actually got a brewery, like, you know, a decent brewery like Shepherd Neame and other ones, to make a Scottish heavy in the same kind of vein as this. I mean, this is basically, it's going to be made to a price point for Sainsbury's, and yeah, they've just done a good job. And I could quite easily, if there was more of these, just get wired into for the rest of the night. So there you go. I'm not saying it's Rigwalt, I'm not saying it's a old peculiar anyway, but it's a nice kind of a London style porter. And it's very drinkable, very affordable, and just in general, just very pleasant. So it's a 6 out of 10. I would definitely recommend it if you're going about there and you just fancy something a bit more sessionable. If you want something with a bit more flavour or something a bit more complex, then don't. But if you want something that's very drinkable, so nice balanced flavour, nicely brewed, and a good price, then yes, I would recommend it. So it's a 5%, 500ml. It's the London Porter for Sainsbury's, Taste the Difference, and it's brewed by Shepherd Neame in Kent, and it's a 6 out of 10. So, thanks for watching, cheers, and bye for now. Oh, and one more thing. Have a happy new year, and a wee thank you to everybody that's basically commented and left their feedback and their views, their opinions and their ideas as well, and their recommendations for beers, because it's very much appreciated, and I enjoy responding to the comments and reading the comments, and thanks for watching the videos, and I hope you get as much out of them as I get making them, because I do find them quite good fun, even if I'm basically drinking a beer I don't like. So, Happy New Year. Thanks to everybody for watching, and we'll see you in the new year, and hopefully we'll have some good beers. Bye for now.